Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Wednesday, and all of our guests today, including Cory Schneider, standing by. Brought to you by our title sponsor, Able Auctions, ableauctions.ca. Canucks over the Jets 6-2 last night at Rogers Arena. They begin a 6-game road trip tomorrow in St. Louis against the Surging Blues. Best team in the NHL since the Four Nations break. And so we're joined now by Cory Schneider, former Canucks goaltender, NHL goaltender, now working for NHL Network. Cory, thanks for doing this, sir. Happy birthday, by the way.
You guys remembered after all these years.
Well, it was yesterday. Didn't you just get drafted by the Canucks a couple of days ago? Come on.
It feels that way, doesn't it? That was just yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hey, he didn't have a great night last night, Cory, but what has made, and I'm just doing our preparation for the show yesterday, he leads in every important goaltending category. What makes Connor Hellebuyck such a special goaltender?
Yeah, I mean, his ascent and his just consistency, his dominance has been very impressive. Kind of came out of nowhere, late round pick, UMass Lowell kid, so not a huge hockey factory, but I think his size and his efficiency and his puck tracking, he doesn't leave his crease. He doesn't have to. He's such a big figure in the net, and he knows how to use his size to his advantage. And he's just, like I said, he reads plays extremely well. I think people underestimate anticipation and IQ for goaltenders, but I think his IQ right now is unmatched in terms of seeing the plays develop before they get to where he needs to be. So he just has to make minimal movements and adjustments. And then when it comes time to make the save, his puck tracking is as good as it gets. So, I mean, for me these days, there's only, you can kind of one hand the number of guys you can rely on year after year, just the volatility of goaltending. And he's at the top of the list for sure. So I'm just in awe of his consistency the last few years.
Yeah, and again, tough night last night, but the numbers are spectacular. Hey, Cory, we're in Vancouver here. As a talented, successful goaltender who went through injury issues, what would you say to Thatcher Demko right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 3,000 miles away from the situation. Obviously, I've kept tabs on him. He's a fellow Boston College goaltender, so we keep the fraternity pretty tight. But it's unfortunate because he was having such an incredible career, an incredible season last year before he went down with that injury. And it's just, I think the lack of information for the public and the fans and the media is tough because you don't know exactly what's going on. And I think it's hard once you get one, to get past that and stay healthy for a while. And I think honestly, especially as you get older, you start to wonder about your mortality in your career and how much do I have left and how is my body going to react? So for him, it's, you got to trust the people you're working with. You have to trust the doctors and the trainers and the rehab programs. And then you just got to learn to trust your body again. Because if you feel like your body's going to give out on you again, it's hard to play with the confidence and a bit of that reckless abandonness you need as a goaltender to make those split decision saves and those reactions and those contorting your body in certain ways that you're not supposed to. So for me, for myself, it was trying to trust my abilities again, trusting that you can do it, trusting that your body can do the things that you've taught it to do your whole life. And that, the people who've been working with you have put you in a position to do that. So it all comes from within because I think the talent obviously is there. He can do it. We've seen it. So for him, it's just to come back to a place where he believes in everything he's doing every step of the way.
Is there anything you do differently, Cory, with Thatcher in mind?
Again, without knowing what's going on, you got to make sure he's 100% healthy. You can't come back at 90% or 85% and say, let's just give it a go.
Right.
Because that's when you get re-injured. That's when you start thinking in your head, in the back of your mind, you're saying, when am I going to get hurt again? When am I going to make a wrong move or do something I shouldn't do? So I think, again, I know it's frustrating for him. I'm sure the most frustrating as a player. You just want to get out there and play. Rehab is a very monotonous, tedious process that there's no other way. There's no other way to shortcut it usually. So you just have to be patient, but to not rush back and get in before the playoffs and try to save the day, you got to make sure that you trust your body and that you're 100% healthy before you try anything again.
And Cory, Demko's out, and the Canucks get this guy, Kevin Lankinen, really cheap just before camp, and he turns that into a big contract. Without him, I don't think the Canucks are in a playoff spot today. How impressed have you been with Lankinen this year in Vancouver?
Yeah, he's been incredible. I mean, he's had some good runs. Nashville, he was really good for a while, and I know he's had a few other stops along the way, but sometimes you just need the opportunity in the right place as a goalie. Goaltending, like I said, there's about 5 guys you can count on year in, year out to deliver the goods, and everybody else, you can have up years, down years. good situations, bad situations. So sometimes you find the right situation, you get some confidence, and it unlocks your full potential. So what he's done for that team this year is just remarkable. And I was a little taken aback by the contract he signed. Not that he didn't deserve it. He's single-handedly gotten him to this place, and he deserves to be compensated for that. But I think that's just the price of goaltending these days with the cap going up.
Yeah.
You look at other guys, Vamelka, Joey Decord, Mackenzie Blackwood, Aiden Hill just signed his deal. So that seems to be the going rate now for a capable 1A guy. And when I say 1A, I mean you play 40, 50 games a year, not the true workhorse 50 and above type guys. And you look at the free agent market this summer, it's pretty bleak. So I think a lot of teams looked at that and said, there's not going to be much else out there. So we may as well lock our guy in that we trust and we know and give him some term and some money because the cap, like I said, is going to keep going up. So it's not going to, as a percentage of the cap, it's not as as bad as first glance. You're saying, oh man, that guy's making $4 or $5 million. He's like, all right, well, as a percentage, it's not too bad. So if they trust him and they like him, I think it makes sense.
So hard to pick. We ask a lot of people, who's your Stanley Cup, pick. It's so hard. They wanted parity. They got it. It's really hard. Who do you got right now? Like, what team do you see right now saying, you know what, these guys could have a good long playoff run?
It's really challenging, just like you said. There's a lot of teams that have some flaws and warts, but there's a lot of really, really strong teams. I think the problem for me is my favorite teams come from the two toughest divisions, the Atlantic and the Central, which means that only one of those 6 teams that I like a lot are going to get out of there. So right off the bat, 66% of the teams are gone after the first 2 rounds. So, personally, it's hard to count against Florida just with what they've done. My only worry with them is they played so much hockey. You can't underestimate playing 100 hockey games every year. So they're about to play 300 hockey games in 2.5 calendar years. That's a lot of hockey. So that's the only thing that concerns me about them. Otherwise, they have everything in place. It's hard to pick one. I'm not a good handicapper, but my top tier would probably be the Dallas, Colorado, Florida. That would be my top 3. But again, one of those teams, Dallas and Colorado, might play each other in the first round, and one could be done. So, what do I know? But those are my 3 favorite teams. Then you have a secondary tier of the Winnipeg, Tampa, Vegas, that group there. So I love it, though. I think it's going to be the first 2 rounds are going to be unbelievable, and then I think it may just be a war of attrition after that.
I thought the Canucks were your favorite team, Corey. What happened?
I do love the Canucks. I do love them. I just don't know if they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year.
What are you saying?
Hey, you never know.
You're saying there's a chance. What's that 1 in a million talk? It's possible. So you just got to get in, right?
Thank you, Jim Carrey. Hey, what would happen in a Dallas-Colorado series? Who comes out on top there?
That's exactly. I think home ice might play into it. We were talking about it. It's you rarely see the team who makes the biggest deal or gets the best player at the deadline go on to win the Stanley Cup. So that concerns me. Fitting Rantanen in such a short amount of time. Does that disrupt your chemistry? Does he get going? He's looked pretty good, but you never know when the crunch time gets there. And same thing with Colorado. They've turned over basically half their roster. Both starting goaltenders, second, third line centers, winger. It's like it's been a turnstile there in Colorado. And I think for the better. I think they're a better team for it. But I don't think you can underestimate how hard it is to, when you get to the gritty points of the playoffs, when you got to rely on guys and trust guys and you want to play with them for a few weeks, it can get a little dicey. So, I think, having to pick it today, I would say Dallas probably win that matchup with home ice. And, Jake Ottinger's played really well. And Miro Heiskanen's coming back. Maybe get Seguin back. So to me, they're a more complete, deeper team. But man, Colorado is just what they've done. I've been really impressed. I just don't know if they can gel in time to beat a good deep team like Dallas.
Yeah, it's too bad. It looks like they're going to meet in the first round because a very good hockey team is going to get eliminated. For people who don't know, Corey, other than the NHL Network, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, I've been working some MSG broadcasts out east here with the Islanders. Might be doing one with the Devils coming up, 2 of my other former teams. So obviously I have some good connections with my former employees. And then, ex-NHLer Brian Boyle, who's also an NHL Network analyst. He and I go way back to college. We're relaunching our podcast, One Time All-Stars, through the Devils platform. So we kind of talk about everything on that. But yeah, just doing that, taking my kids to all their stuff, being around them, being around my family. So it's been a great retirement. I missed the game playing it in certain ways, but I really enjoy what I'm doing now. And like I said, just staying busy, but not terribly busy, which is always where you want to be.
This has been great. Corey, we'll get you back. Thanks so much, my friend. Appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Enjoy.
Bet.
Take care.